We are going to study Gachagwa's option. And as of now, Gachagwa's options are three. As time goes on, the options may increase or decrease or remain three. But there's a Kikuyu song, I'll sing it, which I think somebody should play it for Gachagua. The song used to go like this. Kahora Gachagua newo kamono. Kahora Gachagua newo kamono. Slow down Gachagua, you are too fast. But the song used to say, Kahora Gachagua newo kamono. I've just Gashagua'd the song because anybody cannot, however rich you are, even for a prince like Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, you cannot get things in 2 years what others got in 20 years. Another thing before we go to Gashagua's 3 points is that if we look at the so-called Murima kingpins, since multipartyism came, you'll find that they took long to be recognized as Murima people. And if I'm not wrong, they wanted to be seen as Murima people by default. Otherwise, their aim was to be national leaders. You'll find that in 1992, there emerged two centers of power. There was Mwai Kibaki and there was Kenneth Stanley Njido Matiba. Both of them were very powerful. But if you look at them, they took long in the public eye to be known. Matiba, they were age mates, if I'm not wrong. Matiba, when Kenya attained independence, he was one of the young 20-something years old permanent secretary. Kibaki is the person who was brought in by Jaramogi Oginga to be the executive officer of KANU around the same age. They took decades building a profile nationally and Murima. But if you look at them, they wanted to be seen as national leaders, in fact, and Murima leaders in default. But Gachagua wants to be Murima leader in everything, in fact, and even in default. He thinks that he knows the thinking of the Murima people. Yes, Murima people are people who like a deal. I sang the song Kahora Gachagua newo kamono, and there is another one. There is a saying in Kikuyu, Kere kerio nedhiri. Keep your part, I'll keep my part. So Gachagua appears to think that since for a reason or another, Ruto betrayed him, now he's taking his betrayal to be the betrayal of the tribe. If he convinces Murima, convincing does not mean that that is intellectualism. Convincing does also not mean facts. Convincing is to make people agree with you. Just like people from the lake, if Raila pointed at the sun and said it is the moon, they'd say yes. So that is why I say that Murima I mean, he wants Kikuyus to believe in such a thing that he can say that this is that and that is that. But if he convinces them, we don't know. We don't know if he can. Maybe he can. Of course, the Lakers we stand now, we can, what do you call, confidently say that they'll agree with Raila in whatever he says. Now, Rigathi Gachagua also wants to be a Raila in the Mrima. If he convinces them, it doesn't mean that that is the truth, but it means that they have agreed with what he says. But as I said, if you look at these people, if other, even Ukambani, Kalonzo Musyoka, and to some less extent people like Madam Ngilu and others, how long did they take to have that clout? You cannot come and get it within minutes. But anyway, the world is full of surprises. In my 20s, if you had told me that you can send money from Mandera to your village in 3 minutes, we would think you are mad. Those days it used to take 3 days minimum for money you send to reach home. So anything can happen, but that is how it is. The other problem that I'm seeing, before we go to the 3 points that Gachagua, the 3 routes, Gachagua wants to command Raila. I think anyway, I would say that if you hold a torch on the ground in a dark room, you hold a torch on the ground and shine it on a person, the shadow will be a giant, isn't it? So it will even make this person think that he or she is a giant because the shadow is very big. Gashagua's shadow is too big to think that he can command Raila. As of the time of recording this thing, Raila has not declared his stand. He was saying that after the 20th anniversary, he will declare. I would say that most likely he will be pro-Ruto, but don't be surprised if he turns against Ruto. One of the reasons why he may not turn against Ruto is the way Rigathi Gachagua is talking to him. Talking to him and looking at the watch and say, hey, harakisha, tell us if you are joining us or you are remaining with the government. Now, between Raila and Gachagua, who is supposed to tell the other that? Hey, who is supposed to tell the other that time is running out? I may be wrong, but I think Raila is supposed to tell Gashagua's seniors, not even Gachagua himself, Gashagua's seniors, that we are running out of time. But Gachagua is telling you tell us we don't have time to do that. I think those are some of the things that you regret later, because Raila has a hold in his people, a good hold, but I can tell you for free that Gachagua has no hold in the mountain. Even in the, leave alone percentage, if Raila has 90% of the lake and Gachagua has a smaller percentage, maybe in numbers Gachagua's may be more, but in reality, in all aspects, be it in percentage, be it in counting votes one by one, I don't think that the votes that Gachagua can get from the mountain, all things equal, I don't think, not even all those things equal, even if Gachagua has the support of Mother Karua, and we start counting the votes in Mrima, one by one, I don't think that they can reach one by one what Raila can get from their Lake region alone. And Raila has locked some places. Like he plays very serious game ball in Luhya land, and he has locked out everybody in the coast. In the coast, to an extent that there was a time when Mombasa, all the MCAs who were elected there were ODM. So there was a constitutional crisis where they were unable to find who would be the leader of the opposition in the Mombasa County government. That is 2013 to 2017, if I'm not wrong. So you find that Gachagua should not even imagine giving Raila ultimatums. Those are some of the things that would make even the little chance that they may work together be diminished. And if they don't work together, and let's say Raila, for some other reasons, you know, the only two people who are ever together, the only the only two people who don't separate are the Siamese twins. But any other people on earth, there are occasions when you are together and there are other occasions when you are not there. So it's only Siamese twins who are always together. So in case Raila and Ruto are not in the same wavelength, it may even lead to Raila leading another force that may not be Gashagua's. And Gashagua's biggest beef, Gashagua's biggest beef is to make Ruto a one-term president. Now, if Raila comes with another force and this one comes with another force, it may end up even increasing the chances of Ruto. Now, to the three routes that Gachagua has of now, is if route number one is he appears on the ballot paper. Route number two, he is not cleared by the court. If he appears on the ballot paper, he is cleared by the courts and he ends up leading the opposition, convince the opposition to be the single or even alternative. So one is him appearing on the ballot paper. Two is he's not cleared by the courts. That is, he has to think again. Or number three, he can be cleared by the court, but decide to support someone else, which will also be a challenge because he has said that he has already said that Mrima will not offer a candidate for the presidency, but Mrima will support somebody and allow that person to rule, whereby they'll retain. On one occasion, he said they'll retain the title deed. On another occasion, he said they will retain the logbook. I hope you know what that one means. So far, he has indicated number three. As things stand right now, he appears to say that the Mrima people will support somebody outside Mrima, but then they'll retain the title deed or the logbook. Now let us look at its scenario. Scenario number one is appearing on the ballot paper in either of the two positions. It is very unlikely. It is very unlikely for him to appear in these two positions. First of all, he has been a running mate, isn't it? Can he also be a running mate of somebody else? He came out of a running mate position. His supporters may do a Raila. You remember there's a time when Raila's people told him that we don't want you in the future to be saying Kibaki Tosha, so and so Tosha. Because you say Tosha, the person goes to State House, the first casualty is you. So even right now, him becoming a running mate, he may have a problem convincing people of Mrima to vote for that person who will be his boss. As I said, we are repeating what we have already heard. So it is him appearing on the ballot paper, either of the two positions, a bit unlikely. I've talked of him being the running mate, also being the presidential candidate. I'm talking of him appearing, this is option number one, if he is cleared by the courts. Because if he's cleared by the courts, he cannot be one of the two. Even if he surmounts he surmounts the legal traps, it would be easier for him. It would not be easier for him, even if he surmounts the legal traps that have been played there. It would not be easier for him to surmount to be on the two positions. Maybe with the opposition monitoring several candidates and not a joint ticket. If I don't see him, or I don't see those people opposed to Ruto all agreeing to him being the being their joint operation. It is quite possible that he may end up in one of the two positions, but he may end up, not as a joint opposition, not as a joint opposition. If he insists on being on the ballot paper, then it would mean fragmenting the anti-Ruto votes. Many ask, his impeachment is not as serious as ICC. Then why should the IEBC not take his ballot paper when they had already taken when they had already taken Ruto and Uhuru's when Ruto and Uhuru had faced a more serious, being impeached in Kenya compared to facing what Ruto and Uhuru faced in ICC. Impeachment is a lesser thing, but in Kenyan law, IBC would just reject you because the Kenyan law stands that way. It is unfair, but that is the reality. After clearing the impeachment, he has to make himself the Mrima choice. That is the first thing he'll have to do. After winning the impeachment case, if he will do so, then it will mean that he has to fight to be the Mrima kingpin. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta retired, but still has influence. Would he allow him, mtoto wa Mau Mau, to be the kingpin? Rigathi must guard never to be seen to be the person who divided Mrima. If he continues opposing Uhuru or Uhuru's choice, then he'll be seen to be dividing. Now there is a problem. Suppose he contests, and Uhuru has already indicated that he would support Matiang'i. Then you'd see, even though if we have to follow strict tribal voting, we have some people, Kikuyus from the Mrima, who will follow Uhuru to vote for Matiang'i, which means Mrima will be divided. Would he want to be associated with the division? Two, he is not cleared by the courts, but he have to play Kingmaker. He is on record saying that Mrima will not appoint somebody, but he is on record of saying that whether he's cleared or not, but Mrima would. He's on record saying that Mrima will support somebody else, but take the logbook or even the title deed. So that is option number two. He is not cleared by the courts, but he supports somebody. Now there are two scenarios here in number two. Scenario number one, would the Mrima people follow him that? And even if they follow him that, will we not have a problem that we had in 2002, where somebody will just agree with whatever conditions he places there, and once the other person has been sworn in, we will start hearing cases of MOU, just like we had it. That is how I see it. And also remember, during the sometimes back, Shebesh told Uhuru that our support is for you. Now, if you decide to support anybody else, then we withdraw that support. So if he decides to support somebody else and tell Murima to follow that, will there not be another Shebesh to tell him that? Third and last, he is cleared by the courts. uh, uh, he, he is cleared by the courts, and he appoints somebody else. Uh, he has been cleared with he wants to play a kingmaker, but I've already talked of being a kingmaker, how that one may not be followed through by other people, and especially the Kikuyus may think that the Kikuyus will be betrayed, or even Kenyan being even though we are trying to move out of tribal politics, but Kenya being political whatever, we may find that some big tribes may not feel comfortable for the whole ballot paper not having somebody on it. I do not see a strong Mrima leader in the near future. I think with such whatever, Mrima politics will appears headed for an implosion. Thank you.